Welcome back to Jimmy Does Tutorials. Today we are going to be discussing the Italian tubular bind-off. Now this is a bind-off which gives you a really nice finished edge for 1x1 ribbing. It has a nice roll to it. It doesn't have too much of a abrupt thing, and it's fairly stretchy. And it just looks like everything continues. So what we're going to do is you're going to knit the amount of rows that you need for your cuff or hem or whatever you're binding off. And then we are going to do 2 setup rounds, and then we'll do some sewn bind off. This is a little bit more labor intensive, but I think it's really good for great finishing. So the first round, what we're going to do is we're going to knit the knit stitches, and then we're going to move our yarn in front, and we're going to slip the purl stitches purlwise, like that. Once again, knit the knit stitch, move the yarn in front, and slip the stitch purlwise. So the yarn is coming in front of that purl stitch. One more time, knit the knit stitch, yarn in front, and then slip everything purlwise. We slip purlwise so that the right leg is in the front, just like the stitch was before, so it's mounted the same way. So go through and knit your setup round 1, and I will meet you right with setup round 2. Now we're doing setup round 2. We're basically going to do the opposite of the round before. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip the knit stitch with the yarn in back, and then we're going to purl the purl stitch. One more time, slip the knit stitch with the yarn in back, and then we're going to purl the purl stitch. Let me do that in English style. Going to slip the knit stitch with the yarn in back, and then we're going to purl the purl stitch. So we're going to slip the knit stitch with yarn in back, and we purl the purl stitch. Now, here is a tip for you continental knitters, and that is the Norwegian purl. What is great about this is you don't have to move your yarn, and it's a little bit more fluid. So what you do is you slip the knit stitch, and then you Norwegian purl, and yarn stays in back. So then you remember the yarn is always in back. And this is my preferred method. So slip the knit stitch and then purl. Slip the knit stitch and then purl. We are going to do this for the rest of the round, and then I will get back to you and we will sew this bind off. We have done our 2 setup rows. We did knit the knits and slip the purls, and then slip the knits and purl the purls. And now we are ready to cut the yarn and do a sewn bind off. So what I typically do is about 3.5, 4 times the amount of yarn as the length of the sleeve. So that's roughly 1. And then I bend this over a couple of times, and then I cut the yarn. And this should be more than enough to sew your bind off. Now, to do this bind off, we thread our needle. Just like that. And then there's a pattern that we need to follow. We slip knitwise, off the first knit stitch, and then you purl through the second knit stitch and pull that through. You purl off the first purl stitch, and then the second stitch from the needle. You put your needle from behind and then grab that first leg and pull through. Let's do that again. Knit off, purl from the second stitch from the needle. Purl off, and then you want to knit the second stitch from the needle. So you come behind, grab the leg, and pull through. Let's do this again. Knit off, purl, second stitch from the needle. You purl off, go in between the first two stitches, knit the second stitch, and pull through. And then this gets you your nice Italian bind-off edge. And that is the technique.